Hello, everyone. It's very comforting to see some familiar faces in the crowd and exciting to be connecting to some new people, which is always great. One warning before I start: you are going to see lot of green color. So that's Amble Green policy or Amble Green vision. We are kind of advocating that. So if green is not your color, please bear with me for next 20 minutes. So it's fine. All right. So what I'm going to present is something very simple. I think anyone can do it. It's simple idea, and it's not a novel idea, I would say, but it's very very effective. What we have seen. So what I'm going to talk about is how we run live webinar series, and then how we can use it and repurpose it to create some self-paced learning pathways in data science. So my name is Ajay. I'm a scientific training officer at Amble EBI in training team. So this is what I'm going to talk about. So in today's presentation, I'll give you a bit of overview about Amble EBI training, but my main role is in the on-demand training. So I'll give a special focus on that one. Then I'll show you our strategy, how we are creating these self-learning pathways, mainly our recorded webinar series, and then mix it up with our existing learning resources that we have in our collection. And then obviously I'll show you some examples that we have already created. Okay, so what I'm going to start with, so I mean our journey starts as a learner. I mean, we are still learning. Even when we are teaching, we are learning new things. So I would start with the perspective of a learner. So the challenge that learners face these days, as you can appreciate, that the complexity of bioinformatics is increasing, is nowhere decreasing. You're always getting new concepts which are coming up. So keeping up with that, so the learners face difficulties in navigating standalone resources. So you may just Google things or ask ChatGPT to find something for you. You will find it. But then if you want to start from A to Z to learn about something new or some new topic which is emerging, is very challenging. And then I wouldn't say that find structured learning pathways that you can start and go on until the end to learn something new. So what learners need is actually clear, coherent pathways rather than just isolated learning materials. They are helpful sometimes, but not always. And if you see this slide, the challenges are actually exactly same for training providers. So why I put it that way, that you have to align with, you have to think about your learner, and then you align with your strategy, what you come up with. So increasing complexity of bioinformatics topics. So that's one of the challenges that learners face. So now for education providers is identifying what's relevant with time. And then there's lack of structured learning pathways. So obviously, as an educator, you would like to create something new and a new learning pathway. Then learners face difficulty in navigating standalone resources. So what can an education provider do is repurpose existing resources and try to create some structured learning pathways, which is useful for the learners. And then it becomes actually even more tricky when you are thinking about a topic which is just a niche topic. It's not general bioinformatics resources that everyone is interested in. All right, so now I'm talking about educators. So I will start with just giving you a short overview of MLEBI training, which is another education providing platform. So we essentially deliver training mainly in data-driven life sciences. We have a very beautiful website which was launched not very long time back. But in a nutshell, what we provide is a live training. So live training is like a workshop. It can be 1-day workshop. It could be 5-day workshop. We run live webinars, and then all our training, it can be virtual, it can be in person. And then a big part of our training is on-demand training. So on-demand training is essentially is a collection of lots of online tutorials, recorded webinars, which anyone can access from anywhere at any time. And then we also provide support for trainers. It could be train the trainers, and at the same time, all our materials are CC BY licensed, so anyone can use it. So trainers are uh, quite happy to reuse whatever material that we have. But having said about the shiny websites, it's not always about shiny website. It also has to have very good functionality. So when the website was being created, now I have stolen, well, rather borrowed this slide from Kath. So when the website was being created, we put a lot of thought in the infrastructure, which could support scalable use of content. So obviously uh, we mainly, let's say when we are running live courses, we think about our target audience first and what their needs are. And then we run these courses live, or we run blended course, including live webinars. And then we try to create materials so that they are open and they are searchable course materials. So it's easily findable and accessible to learners. And then we would like to use all those materials that we have created, in addition to some new tutorials that can be written, just to create self-paced online courses, which is again available to all our learners. And then obviously all our materials are CC BY, so there could be derivative works, so trainers can use it and modify it according to their own need. And that increases essentially our global reach. Now, so just to put a bit of focus on our on-demand training. So we have quite a big collection of different sorts of on-demand training materials. So we have course materials that essentially are created after a live course is done. So we put everything together in there, and it make it accessible to everyone. So we have about 39 course materials. We have recorded webinars. So we have a big library, more than 200 recorded webinars there. And then online tutorials, more than 80 on different topics. And then we have collections, which I'll talk to you about in a bit. Okay, so recorded webinars. So we actually run webinars almost every week throughout the year. So we run almost 35 to 40 webinars a year. And we record all these webinars, and then all these recorded webinars are available on our website. So they are from different topics. They could be simply about MBI resources. They could also be about general concepts in data science. Then we have online tutorials. So these are like, you can call them ebooks. They are again on some general topics, like our kind of a flagship tutorial is bioinformatics for the terrified. So anyone who is new to bioinformatics, they can actually go there and learn a lot about bioinformatics and how to get started in that. And we also have very niche or specific tutorials. So we recently worked with PDBE team and Google DeepMind to create this tutorial about AlphaFold, which is very widely read. And then we have collections. So we do have this library of recorded webinars and tutorials. We can actually repurpose them, put them together in kind of a learning pathways, which are very useful for learners again. And then course materials. As I said, we run all the workshops and live training. We put the all materials there and put them together to course materials. So obviously not everyone can attend live courses because we have limited space there. But these materials can be put together, and then it's accessible to anyone who, let's say, who could not attend the course. All right, so that was about our training. Now I'll focus on the strategy that we are taking to create new learning pathways. Okay, so it's very simple idea. So you first come up with a thematic webinar series. So you think about a theme in life science domain that you would like to run a webinar series on, and it has to be timely. Just think about the user needs. And the next thing is essentially you record all those webinars and then repurpose these webinars and then mix it with the existing tutorials, which are obviously aligned with the theme, and then create a structured learning pathway. So actually the strategy is as simple as that. So essentially I can stop my presentation here, but I will just go in a little bit of detail there. All right, so first thing is here. So how you design the webinar series. So you first select a topic that you would like to run your series on. And this theme could be anything around emerging science, depending on if there are gaps in your training content that you would like to create a resource on. And the next is list topics that are that would cover all the key aspects of that theme. So you have a bigger topic, then obviously you need to create kind of subtopics within that so that people can go from introduction to more deep into the methodology or concepts. Then the next one is essentially you just arrange these topics into modular or progressive session. So essentially just a logical flow of this content that people can start and end. So the question is, how do we come up with topics? What's our strategy? So actually, I would say we are lucky or privileged that EMBL has these transversal themes. So EMBL, every 5 years, they have a scientific vision. So what kind of program they would focus on for 5 years. So the current focus for EMBL is this, they call it transversal themes for molecules to ecosystems. So we have many different themes. So we have obviously data science, theory, microbial ecosystems, and many other, planetary biology. So that's actually becomes our guiding force, our guiding support for coming up with topics. And obviously these topics are quite timely and very useful and interesting in current science. Okay, so this is the fun part now. When you start, so you have come up with topic, you know what you're going to deliver, what you are going to cover. Now you need to identify the subject matter experts. We are again quite lucky that we have lots of expertise within EMBL. But again, when you're thinking about new topics, you don't always find expert within your organization, so you have to approach them. So you start with writing lots of emails to many people and hope that someone will respond. People do respond, which is great, and we are very grateful to all our external trainers, obviously to our internal as well. Some trainers are within this room, so and then next thing is, obviously when you are talking to your trainer, you have to ensure that the content is relevant to domain specific knowledge. And one thing which requires some convincing that this webinar is going to be more for training purpose. It's not a conference style where you come and show lots of data and you've published I don't know how many papers, but it's mainly training focused. So please focus on introduction and the simple methodology that you can explain to new learners. And the next one is you just run your webinars with real-time interaction. So we run our webinars on Zoom. We have some space for Q&A, so people can ask questions and get answers. And already during these live webinars, you start creating a short community of people, so who are actually interested in these new topics that you're covering. Okay, so webinar series is done. So then how do we create the content? So now the next step is repurposing and structuring the content. So obviously recording was very important when we ran the webinar series, and also we gathered feedback during our webinar. So recording essentially it ensures high quality and reusable content. We use Panopto as our platform to host. I mean, I'm not advertising Panopto here. You can use any tool that's accessible to you. It's just this tool that we use. It's a very user-friendly tool where you can show the slides on one pane, and then the speaker who is talking. We also get the transcript there, so people can read it. If they want to translate it, they can translate it. And then post webinar feedback. So whenever we run a webinar, at the end we always ask for feedback. So these feedback become actually very useful in the end when we are actually creating the learning pathway. So many people actually ask, oh, can we have step-by-step bioinformatics analysis for microbiome data? Or can we have a workflows of metagenomics data? So we know what kind of structure people are looking for when they're looking for learning. Then next one is, so again, it's part of repurposing, is curating on-demand resources. So you need to now identify, you go back into your library and see what are the things which are actually aligned with the topic that we ran webinar series on. And obviously, if you're running something new, you might not find many things in your library, but there could be many things which are complementary. So whenever we are running a webinar series, all essentially around data science, and what we realized that something which is not a big appetite for people is data management. I mean, obviously it's important. Nobody likes to clean the mess which someone else has created, but I think we need to consider when, if we see a mess, if we can't clean it, we will get stuck in it later. So we have a few courses on data management. So we try to put those in the collection. And then merge the tutorials and open access resources that we identified in a structured manner, so that there are chapters which people can follow very easily. And this way we can create a coherent, progressive learning resource live sessions. Okay, now I'll show you some example, essentially focusing on one, how we create this. Okay, so first I'll show you a few examples that we have already done. So we ran a webinar series on plant sciences because we had a huge gap in plant sciences in our content. And again, this science is again becoming very more fashionable. So people are interested in it. So we ran a webinar series about data-driven plant sciences, and we created a content on that one. Then we ran a webinar series about molecular building blocks of life. So here, our main focus was to highlight all the EMBL-EBI resources that we have, because our resources cover all different kinds of molecular building blocks of life. So you have from RNA, DNA, protein, even systems biology. So we wanted to highlight that through this series, and then we created a collection from that one. So by the way, I think probably I didn't mention, so the learning pathway, when we talk about the term that we use usually is collection, because it's collection of various different resources. And then this was a very niche topic, exploring microbial ecosystems, which is again one of the transversal themes for EMBL. So we again created a webinar series for that one, and then created a collection out of that. So I will focus a bit more on exploring microbial ecosystems. Okay, so here is the topic, that the webinar series that we ran, and main aim was how we can study microbial ecosystems and identify its applications. So this is the webinar series, and one important thing to highlight here is that we have several webinars in this one, but as I told you, you need to approach many subject matter expertise, and you might have some problem with arranging the dates. So these things might not be in a flow which you would like to have this flow. So you have to think about that and put them in the right order when you're creating the collection. So this is how our collection cover page looks like. It tells you about what is it about, and we define our target audience, and then learning outcomes, what they will achieve from this one. And if you go into the chapter, we provide some introduction, and then you see we cover all those webinars within subtitles, so that people know what they are going to learn from here, and they can actually go specific to certain topic if what they are interested in, if they don't want to explore all the tutorial. And this is how the chapters look like. So you have these chapters. We have different webinars in that, but it's not just webinars. You will see if you go to this resource, you will find many different resources from EMBL EBI that people can actually use for learning. All right, and then within the webinars, obviously, you can't just listen to all the webinars. So we create sub-chapters actually within the videos. So if a person is interested in certain part of the video, they can actually start from there rather than watching the whole video. All right, and then we can enhance our learning engagement. This is not exactly limited to this collection, but it's about enhancing the engagement by including some of the interactivities. We can have crosswords, we can have quiz that people can use to self-assess, and people can have some activities like drag and drop just to have fun with the content. And yeah, just to mention that if you have an account, you can also track your learning on our resource. So it's available only for registered users, but just mainly to mention that everything is available open access. But if you have an account, you can track your learning, which is very useful. You can also create a playlist if you want by yourself and share it with your friends. Yeah, so that's mainly one thing I would like to show, that our content is accessible anytime. It has CC BY 4 license, so anyone can reuse it and modify it, and it supports inclusivity and environmental sustainability. And just to, I would not focus on that one, so we have wider reach. But key takeaway is that when you do something like this, you can create a structured thematic webinar, which enhances clarity and progression for learner, and then combining it with live and on-demand resources maximizes impact. And the feedback that we collect can be a continuous improvement for our future pathways. So this is just to highlight that what's coming up. So we ran a webinar series on large language models. You expect why. And then how to organize basically a data management series as well. So watch this space. New collections will be coming in. So I would like to thank our training team. We like to have fun in the escape room sometimes. And then all our ABI resources and trainers, and all our global volunteer trainers, and also the EMBL EBI web development team. So thank you very much.
We're running a bit behind, so we need to move to the next speaker.